Tuesday, October 19th. Public recognition, no one signed in. Is that correct? Alrighty, hearing none. Item 4, consideration of the consent agenda. Are there any questions? Otherwise, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White. Yes. Motion carried.
Administrative reports. We're going to start with Nancy and the 712 Career and Tech Ed.
My glasses first. Hi, everyone. How you doing?
Good.
Great night to be a Cuban, right? Okay. So we are here. Well, I am speaking on behalf of we have 2 of our teammates here, Career and Technical Education Department, and I just wanted to, I guess, first share that CTE is very different from all the other curricular areas that you have heard of or will hear of in the future. We have, each of us, the 4 of us, have our own power standards, as you'll probably hear that term a lot. Also, we have the very specific career skills that we're working towards with our students, along with teamwork, cooperation, problem solving, communication, things for life is what it's all about. They have personal goal setting, personal finance, growing the food and preparing the food, fixing things around the house, the shop, whatever it is. So we are very different in all the other areas. Maybe I'll come over here and use the mouse, huh? So I'd like to start out with our mission, which kind of summarizes what I just said. Helping students get to life, getting through life, and working and being a good citizen in the community or in the global economy while providing lifelong learning, academic and technical preparedness. So that's our mission. And again, it's a little different because we're doing all with pictures in the world of pictures. Within the FFA and agriculture courses, you might see some of these happening around. They have preparing the dirt for the greenhouse and also the plants outside here. We have scoring the antler. We have the vet science, a lot with showing lambs and other animals as well, but they really take a lot of pride in their lambs. And also the sweet corn sales over the summertime. They also have the opportunity to have a semi or a trailer come down from Southwest Tech that has the cow in it, so they can figure out if they have to do any surgeries on the cows, any C-sections. They also have the artificial insemination. The kids are practicing that. So it's a great opportunity for the students that are going into agriculture fields or any animal science area. Also, we have the horticulture. They're designing their bouquets. I'm guessing that's the welding project for the guys, and the sheep stand, testing the durability of it, along with tagging the ears. FFA was involved with handing out food last summer or fall. I don't know when that was. School was ending, I guess, last year. And then, of course, showing at state and all the different events. Also, we have the CNC or the plasma cutter in the center. So it's all programmed in the computer and it goes to the cutter, and then you can see, or the plasma cutter, and then you can see Colin with his final product, which is pretty awesome. So we have some new additions, and that was part of the incentive grant that we received, accumulated over the years. In business, we have Mrs. Joel, and you can see the classes that she teaches. This is one with Mini Business World, which the students are actually going to next week. It is some problem solving, innovation, creating new products, and then they have to do the marketing plan for it, and they have to present it. So it's a pretty amazing experience. They usually are with students from other schools. So it's just throwing a bunch of kids together and they're building their ideas. So it's pretty awesome that they get to do that. Also, they're looking at the aspects of the business. Over here was, they were creating a professional sports team. So they had to, how are we going to market this kind of thing? So all kinds of great things. And Monopoly, she said, that's the business world, and they're documenting all their transactions. So Lots of fun in the business world, learning lots of skills. We have the design, they were designing it, and yes, the heat press is down in Mr. Kopp's room, but again, it's a department thing. We shift our things. And what's great is because I had students down at Snug as a Bug, and I went on their website, and guess what? There's 2 little twins wearing these shirts. So that's kind of full fold, all the way through our department. So they're hoping to do that, and they also help the volleyball girls with their shirts for Packet Pink. With entrepreneurship, it's all hands-on learning. Again, keys, they're just trying to figure things out, creating businesses, new business, and going forward. 7th grade, practicing keyboard most of the time. They're also doing the mini business activities, which is the airplane building. Each color paper was worth more money kind of thing, and they had to come up with the best flying. So how do you budget for that? So that's kind of the activity there. And then also the financial and digital literacy that she's doing with Miss Burkett, I believe, right? Yeah, just to confirm, thank you. Yes. All right, so this is a 7th grade project that they were working on. So it's looking at the skills listed on the side there, but you got to watch the ball because it's pretty cool. And watch the face at the end of the line because it's pretty. They did all the calculations to figure this out. Like, wow, is that cool or what, right? So I was like, you want to watch that again? No. Oops, I didn't mean to do that again, but it was pretty awesome. Yearbook, these kids, she does a lot of team building things with them. And the biggest thing is time management. So they have the yearbook, and then we have the unveiling of the yearbook here. They have projects, and they're out taking pictures.
Here come bad news, talking this and that. Give me all you got, don't hold it back.
So it was a pretty cool yearbook if you haven't seen it. Try and turn. Okay, and there's me, along with the list of my classes. So we have Foods for Life, just general basic life skills, with cooking, preparing food safely, not hurting themselves, and not getting people sick with their food. Foods and Fitness has a fitness component. So on those days we had snow days. They had to, it happened to be an activity day, so they had to prove they were being active. One group of gentlemen were on I guess a spring break that day. I don't know where they were, but someplace warm. And the rest of us here were here in the cold. But I did throw in one from a few years ago. It was great because Benny was confined to wheelchairs, and he had access to extra ones. So what better way for our kids to realize what he goes through? So we were playing badminton there, or they were, I didn't. But it's pretty fun. In Foods of the World, we're taking a look at other places to visit and all the food. Oops. All the wrong way. Foods that they're making in those cultures. And then also we talk about clusters and pathways a lot in CTE. So take a series of classes to get into the profession that they want to get into. The teach and train cluster, the students would take parenting, youth tutor youth, assistant child care teacher, and then child care teacher. So the assistant, they would work or volunteer for like 10 hours and become certified to be an assistant child care teacher and work in our daycare centers around here. Something unique with this is that I'm the only person in CISA 3 certified to certify students. So I actually have 4 students from Southwestern that are in my parenting class, and they will also be in ACC team next year. And I'll add 1 more student. So I'll be certifying 5 of their students to work in the center that they have at their school now. I also have a student from River Ridge. So I go wherever, technology takes us, right? They come to us. So we're pulling in kids and certifying so they can advance into their career, so they're ready to go straight to work if they choose to. So pretty awesome. And then we have some FCCLA officers making breakfast and projects that our FCCLA has done and still doing. Mr. Kopp has some construction class pictures in here. where they're doing a mock-up on a building and then finally finalizing it. And then, of course, they have to tear it down then too. So those are some shots of their work. POE is the, down here so I wouldn't mess it up. Sorry, Principles of an Engineering class. So they're going through the full process that the engineers would have to design a product. So we're giving those. We have a couple of their projects here with the CNC router that they designed on the computer, and they went through the router and cut it out. So that's all set for Tyler. And then Mr. Hulse is pretty proud of the artwork that he created this year. And Mr. Kopp helped with getting the router set up, and he was able to make his own nameplate. Manufacturing 1 and 2, again with the CNC router. And this is in our music department. It cost a little bit more to buy it, so they went to work and made one to save a little bit. So there's more manufacturing 1. Some more CNC projects. Okay. And then you have in VisCom, they're doing some transfers, exploring technology, and here's some more projects. Independent study, it's pretty awesome. And construction helped with the field events. I also want to point out, we go beyond the classroom and applying skills. Students are learning skills for life through the Youth Apprenticeship program. This year we have 3 in animal science. Going with the agriculture, we have a new one in the graphic design, which is pretty cool, and she's down at Signcraft. So she starts her day off there and then comes up here. We also have 2 that are in the healthcare field. Okay, this is last year's numbers. So we had 16 kids graduate through the Youth Apprenticeship program last year. Sometimes you hear about the incentive grant. Well, that's money that we are getting because of the success in the Youth Apprenticeship program. So the grant is written so it's up to $1,000 per student per year, but it all depends on how many kids there are that are applying. So I think last year was like $250 that we got per student. So we will get the money from these next year. So then that's how we use what we use to buy the CNC and the plasma cutters and all that stuff. The extra things that are beyond our budget, then we can buy equipment like that. So it's pretty cool. And then I just have a few pictures of those kids from last year, if you recognize any of them and what they're doing. But they were all over, we had, as you can see in that pie graph. Future plans, Fabrication Lab items have been ordered, I believe, and going to be coming in. So that will involve water jet that cuts on metal. We have a 3D printer coming, a laser engraver, vinyl cutters, the electronic tools for soldering. And this was also through a grant, and they had to, within that grant year, focus on incorporating music and foreign language. So this isn't just a CTE lab, it is a district-wide lab, and everyone is encouraged to use it once you figure the machines out, right? Okay. Also something kind of in the works for this year, we had heard about it in my school, or Foods of the World class. We were talking about all the different tastes, that people have acquired over the years, and wouldn't it be great to have all those tastes together, sampling of food. So we're going to try to do around the world in 80 plates, stealing that idea from Iowa City, and have a day where the kids can sample all these different foods and learn about different cultures. So it's something that wouldn't hurt our students at all to learn about. Also in the past, we've had career day every other year. So we had to miss a couple. We'd like to get back on track, and we're shooting for the spring. So if any of you are interested in talking about your professions, let me know, and we'll get you signed up. So we're looking forward to that. And those would probably be on Fridays with the early releases and that. I do want to end up with just one little commercial, I guess, little advertisement. This Friday, there's an Education and Business Summit that anyone is free to go up at Southwest Tech. They're going to be focused on the regional career plans, and I do have a spot to register you. If you want to still go, you may. One of our speakers is going to be focusing on the STEM careers in technology, keeping in mind that 10 years down the road from now, kids are going to be in jobs that we don't know what they are yet. So we just have to do our best to prepare with skills that they can apply, all that problem solving and communication and teamwork, all that stuff together, so they can get to be prepared, I guess, for these classes. So there's one speaker. We also have somebody that's talking with the Youth Apprenticeship program and also the Apprentice program, which kids can go from the Youth Apprenticeship to the Registered Apprentice and continue to build their skill base. So they're also looking at trying to get more kids in the under 18 into manufacturing. So companies are there. Lunch is provided up at Southwest Tech in their new facility. They have a new my mind is gone. What do you think about adding on? The auditorium. Thank you. Sorry. Just trying to go so fast. The new auditorium. It's pretty cool. And yes, they do want masks because Southwest Tech is campus, whole campuses. So sorry, that went fast, but I said 10 minutes. So do you have any questions? And if you have some for Mr. Kopp and Ms. Van Scandal, you can also direct them to them if they're about their area.
I'd like to thank you guys for coming. That was great. All right.
Lots of skills.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nancy.
Okay, thanks so
Appreciate it.
much.
Thanks, everybody, for coming.
You're certainly welcome to stay, but if you wanted to leave, so that part's over, we get that too. We won't be offended. Yeah, would you give the special ed report?
Yes, on September 28th and 29th, I attended the WCAS, which is Wisconsin Council of Administrators of Special Services Fall Conference, and that's where I get a lot of the current information on best practices, new laws, updates, new procedures, always a wealth of information. October 6th, I participated in the SEEDS Director of Special Ed User Group virtual workshop. SEEDS is our software program for our IEP paperwork, and they've just done an overhaul. They have a 2.0 coming out, and so that particular meeting helped us to navigate the program and the new changes that have been implemented through DPI and needed to be updated in our software program. This week, I started my staff observations for educator effectiveness. And this Friday, I'll be working with the special ed certified staff during the 90-minute work time, curriculum time, going through those SEEDS updates and new laws and requirements and practices. So that will be our first time this year to sit down and work together. And Pam Trannell, Jesse Donar, and I are beginning to work on our third Friday in October 1st headcount data, which is extremely important to have correct because that's the count they use for funding in our district. So stay tuned.
Any questions of them? Thank you. Aaron, is there a middle or high school report?
Yep, Kelly couldn't be tonight, but she did share with me her report. Wanted to let everybody know 7th and 8th grade students went to Canyon Camp this year, overnight. Stations and students' experience were fishing, archery, fire making, pond life, hiking, kayaking. I'd like to thank the teachers and junior counselors for the amazing experience they had on the trip. I believe Mr. Sander went with them and had a safe experience. Everybody was outside. They slept indoors overnight, but all went well. Our seniors went to the American Players Theater in Spring Green to see the play Oedipus. Okay, and had a great time. I'm sorry, that's really small font. I'm getting old, or I just have to make it a little bigger. Homecoming went well this year. I want to thank Mrs. Timmerman, Miss Joel for the work in organizing the events for the week. We had Powder Buff, Powder Puff, Jim Wan, the hypnotist. That is always really entertaining. And the mock crash for activities for the students. She also wanted to thank Ms. Merwin and Ms. Slott for their organization with the homecoming parade. So thank you both. Had a group of students attending Women in STEM career event at UW Platteville Tuesday, October 26th with Mrs. Adler. We'll have about 12 to 14 students attending the National FFA Convention in Indianapolis next week. And over the past couple of weeks, staff has worked hard in setting their goals for the school year, surveying their students for teacher effectiveness, and wanted to commend them for their hard work and dedication to growth. So that's everything from Dr. Krauss.
Thank you. Heather, the business manager report.
Just an update on ESSER 2. The district recently received notification on additional ESSER 2 dollars. These funds are awarded to districts that were under the per pupil dollar threshold for ESSER II allocation. The additional funds are awarded based on in-person hours of instruction during the 2021 school year, and our district is being awarded an additional $146,000 in ESSER II funding. I talked about the report that we had to complete last month, and Jessica Luker spent a lot of time on that. So today I let her know how all of those hours, what it means for the district. So she was very excited to hear the dollar amount attached to all of her hard work. I've also been working to finalize the 21-22 budget and preparing for the annual meeting next Monday. So you'll hear more about this year's budget next Monday. The district has also submitted paperwork for the second round of Emergency Connectivity Fund grant. This is a grant for technology expenses. This is our second request, and we submitted a request around $75,000 worth of expenses. I've previously informed you that the round one, we did receive around $51,000 for this grant of technology expenses that will cover some of the expenses for our one-to-one student devices. Both rounds of the grant, that money has to be spent by the end of June 30th, 2022. And that's all I have.
Any questions, Kevin? Thank you. Aaron, superintendent in elementary school report.
At the elementary school, teachers are working hard on standard-based grading practices, learning more about that and moving forward in that direction. They're also working on PBS boot camp. They started to organize that today, just teaching students about the expectations in different areas of the school. We didn't do that last year because of COVID procedures, but some teachers were working on safe ways to do that this year. They're continuing to work with their curriculum work, which is always fun. The curriculum reports are kind of, in looking at your faces, the curriculum reports are kind of the highlights of the meeting because you get to see really passionate teachers talking about things that they love talking about. And so that's what a lot of our Friday afternoons are for curriculum time, and that's the result. So I'm glad that you're able to see that. And teachers have been working on student surveys and self-reflections and goal setting as well. From the district standpoint, as Heather said, we're working on finalizing the budget, been working with the architects that you saw tonight. We're ending up our fall sports seasons at the middle school and the high school. Middle school this year, we had added a new sport, middle school football, and Brad was generous enough to donate his time to coach that, so thank you, Brad. And we're gearing up for winter in the county. So we'll be meeting with other schools in our area, talking about inclement weather delays and school cancellations and how we handle those things, because a lot of the schools work together. We have a lot of the shared practices, so that's what we've been working on.
Any questions of Aaron? Thank you very much. Discussion item, COVID-19 procedures and practices.
I think I'm just going to leave this on every month in case you guys have anything. I don't have anything in particular, but I know that some of you guys had something you want to bring up, so I'll let you
Yeah.
say.
I don't know that this might be a moot point at this point, but a while ago when I heard about the time that both Aaron and Dr. Krauss were spending on contacting our families about the quarantines, that was very alarming to me, because if they're working all day and night calling families, we are already down resources. So I'm thinking, do we want our administrators spending their time there? And I realize that they're trying to do the best thing for our families and call and hear from them and answer questions. However, I looked through the Wisconsin state statute. I combed through the DHS documents. I could not find anything where our administrators are responsible for making those call outs. Now, it does outline that they need to cooperate as far as the contact tracing. And I know Aaron and Dr. Krauss can do that best, but I'm questioning, can we hand off those lists of the contacts, those contacts to the county where that is the responsibility of the county? In the documents, it does outline that they are responsible for that, and they get state resources and have the ability to ask for additional resources if they need it. So do we want our resources that we are already short on making those calls? Because my understanding is half of the time is spent on that.
It's
So
about, yeah, I would say it's about half is making the calls and touching base with parents and answering their questions and those types of things.
now that we're masked, I don't know that it's as huge of an issue. So we shouldn't have a lot of it. But I go back to thinking about, and this statistic always sticks with me from last year, if we had over 400 quarantines and none of them but one tested positive, and that was traceable back to a family member, do we need to worry about the students that should be quarantined if the county doesn't get to it for 5 to 7 days?
Because that's what the county will say. They'll say, well, Aaron, you guys should make the calls on Tuesday morning when you know about it, because we may not get to it till Wednesday, and then there are kids in your school who will be a close contact. So that's what their response will be. They did offer to reimburse the district at a rate of $24 an hour for the contact tracing if we do all of it from start to finish. And I would say at the high school, Pam, I'm guessing one close contact investigation takes a minimum of 4 hours. Is that right?
With everything said and done, attendance codes.
Yeah, and that's often you working with, sometimes it's 2 people working on those things. So it is time consuming. And I would say that making the phone calls and returning the phone calls, because no one answers the phone when you call, because they want to see what the message is. So you're getting called back when you're calling the next parent. So that's probably, I would say, half the time.
So at this point, can you tell us what the difference would be in terms of, if we let the county do it? Is there any negatives that we, should be worried about versus, having the school do it? I mean, if the county contacts you, then the parents, and if they do contact the school, what do you have to do?
So we would do the investigation. So we'll identify maybe, and now that we're masked, we only go 3 feet out, not 6. So let's say there's a high school student who tests positive, and we might find 3 close contacts. So instead of us making those phone calls, we would pass it on to the county. And they say, we'll make the phone calls when we can, but we may not get to it today. We may get to it tomorrow. So the risk is you're having kids who are close contacts still in the school for that day. But that's when Sarah brought up that point when she made that to me. She's like, last year we didn't have any school spread because we were masked. Mm-hmm. So is that a concern, or should we just have the county make those phone calls? So
I guess I would side with Sarah mostly from the standpoint that even if they reimbursed you $24 an hour, I think Dr. Krauss is getting paid a little more than that per hour. So plus, obviously, we're down in a principal. So I would think that I would agree that we do that. Other comments?
Any other thoughts on that?
No, I appreciate you do that too, Sam. Thank you.
If you do that, you'll be not as quick reaction time, correct?
That's what it is. They might get to it within 15 minutes. It depends on what their workload, their caseload is.
2 days.
It might be 2 days. Yeah.
And at this point, I'm not so sure the later notification, one from the standpoint that, as Sarah said, we're masked or we've had little in-school spread, but again, that probably keeps more kids in school because
But the quicker you respond to it, the better you'll be. Better way.
well,
Is it though? Is it better? I mean, then they're out of school longer. I think the risk, when we look at the statistics
Yeah.
from last year,
I mean, if they're in close contact, I mean, it could take the county a few days to notify them, and then they're still in school for 2 days, so it could take the percentage up higher, hopefully not, but that's the only thing that you're giving up.
Yeah. And that's why it goes back to the percentage of cases that the school spread last year was 0.25. Out of our 400 cases, there was maybe 1, but we think that was traced back to a family. So it's
and you said
basically
Southwestern
0.
had 0.
Yeah.
I mean, of all of their quarantines, they had 0.
Yep.
So, I mean, collectively, we're probably talking about 700 to 800
Yep.
in that one.
Zero.
The risk just seems very minimal for spending your time and Dr. Krause's time.
I would agree with Sarah. I mean, our experience, again, last year, whole year being masked, there's really no transmission. So I still fall back to the point that if we would do that and find out we start to get spread because of it, we can always change a month later.
Yep.
Or a special board meeting.
Yep.
Again, being short of principal, I value your time and Dr. Krause's time and Pam's time.
And Deb.
And Deb, whoever else is doing those.
Yeah, and again, if we weren't masked, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing this, because as soon as we find out, we would want to get those close contacts picked up.
Is that something, since it's not on the agenda, we could vote on, or is that?
I don't think we need to vote. If you guys just tell me that's how you want me to, it's not a policy. We don't have a policy. And it's just a change in how we do it. But if that's what you guys.
I'd say
Like,
put it on the
anybody-
county. They're the ones getting paid for it. I mean, I know they're offering to reimburse, but
They're the ones setting the rules.
they're the ones setting the rules. They're the ones getting paid. I'd say it's on them to make the calls.
Anybody opposed to that practice?
I do.
I'm trying to weigh my response. I'm having an emotional response right now.
Do you guys want me to put it on our next board meeting and and we'll have it as an action item?
Oh, you're down the road another month
Yeah.
I know.
in in doing
More
what we
wasted
just
time.
talked about, I guess.
I appreciate Dan's response though, of just, it's not the best use of your time. We should ask the county to do it. If we see the transition change, I would want to move back to it if that's a possibility, because currently experiencing that one day makes a difference. But I'm trying to take emotion out of it.
Got it. All right, should we just give it a shot and see how it goes? Is that what I'm hearing?
That would be my preference.
I do.
Yes.
And I'll just let you know, if I find out that the county is just not able, if they get huge runs, and is everybody okay with me making that decision? We're making the calls today. It's gonna be too long. If they're 3 or 4 days behind.
I trust your judgment with the teams, with Pam and Deb's and Dr. Krause's input on that.
I do have a question. You said that they're gonna pay us if we do it from start to finish.
Yeah,
What aren't we doing that we?
We're doing it all
Do they owe us a bunch of back time already?
I asked if this, and it starts like last Monday, so that's no. If we could go back and bill them for all the contact tracing that we've done, we would, Heather would like that in the budget, but no, we can't do that. From here on out, basically, if we choose to do it the way we've always done it, we could get reimbursed for $24 an hour.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Is there any other questions,
also say
concerns?
Every day, we get together and look at how many students are out, or, how many positives we have or negatives. So we do watch that data every single day. So if we notice a trend or a change, we would notice it right away.
Every day at 9:00.
Yep.
Okay. Any other COVID-related concerns, questions? All right, moving on. New business, approved Neola policies, volume 30, number 2.
Yep, all of these policies were approved by the policy committee last Wednesday when we meet. Remember, all those are vetted by a panel of attorneys and former superintendents who now work for Neola, and most of them were changes based on federal laws or current court cases.
Any questions regarding those policies? Hearing none, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the Neola policies, volume 30, number 2 is presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Andrews,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Collins,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item B is approve the continuation of banking services with Mound City for 3 years.
Yep, every 3 years we have to put out a bid, and we put it out to all of our local banks. And we've got 4 in our area, in our district that we put them out to. 3 years ago, we selected Mountain City Bank because they were the only bank that didn't have any charges. And so when we got all those bids back again, it was the same thing. Mountain City Bank did not have any charges for any of the services. So my recommendation would be to continue those services with Mountain City Bank.
Any questions?
I would move to approve the continuation of banking services with Mountain City Bank for 3 years as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poll.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item C is approve the revised 21-22 CISA 3 contract.
Yep, we approved the CISA 3 contract a few months ago. Anytime there's a change, a significant change in dollars. This one was to do teacher evaluations through CISA at the elementary school. I'll always bring those changes to you guys. So this is just the updated change with what you guys know about.
Any questions regarding that? I will move to approve the revised 21-22 CISA 3 contract as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poll.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item D, approve the list of students participating in the early college credit program and Start College Now program for the second semester.
Yep, ECCP and Start College Now programs allow our high school students to take some college level classes and get college level credits. So we started this, I believe, last year with only a few kids in it. Each semester, we've gotten a few more kids to take it, and we're up to, I believe it's 12 students taking advantage of this opportunity. And that was very much supported by the board when we brought this a year ago or so, or 2 years ago maybe.
Any questions regarding that?
And the reason it's now is we always, in October, we have to approve the second semester names.
Okay. If there's no question, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the list of students participating in the ECCP and SCN programs for second semester.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poll.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item E is approve the contract with school perceptions for our community survey.
When we did our facility study, we talked about different companies, and we went with Bray Architects, and they recommend working with school perceptions. And that was noted in the price difference. Theirs was much less because they suggest we work directly with school perceptions. We did get that contract through to school perceptions. So if we do decide to go through and look at a possible referendum for facility needs, we would use their services. It's about $8,500. And those 3 documents had the frequently asked questions in there. So this is considered the gold standard for school surveys in Wisconsin.
So obviously this would, you're saying, only be done if we decide to go to referendum.
Yep.
Okay. Is there any other questions?
This is, so when we get to that point, then I don't have to wait for the next board meeting. We can just sign it and send it off.
Is there a time frame that needs to be enacted?
I'm going to ask school perceptions when they would need that by, but they just want to know whether they should save space for us or not yet. And I'll tell them when I talk with Matt about when we need to get this done. We can. So we could have put that off on a different meeting, but I just thought we'll have it now, and then whenever we're ready, we can sign it and send it to them.
Because I know you had a timeline that you had shown me for the
Yeah,
whole referendum process.
It's taped in my office up on the wall, so I don't have it memorized here yet.
I think it was the spring. It would go out
The
to the
sur-
community. I think
Yep.
I asked you that same question.
I think it was
the spring.
February, March, April, maybe, or maybe it was March, April, May.
Can it be the survey to the community or?
That's a survey. Yep. So they develop it 1 month and then they send it out and then they analyze it.
If there's no other questions, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the contract with school perceptions for community survey as presented.
Don, would you like to second?
I'm louder.
There was an echo there for a minute.
Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poll.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Approve the leadership development event for the FFA on Wednesday, February 16.
Yep, the leadership event for FFA is a rotating event. It's our turn to host in Cuba City, but it is on a Wednesday. Now, if this was in Minter Point, it would also be on a Wednesday and our kids would go. It's just our turn to host. But whenever things are on a Wednesday or Sunday, I like to bring them to you just so you guys are aware of it.
If there's no questions.
I'll
would
move to
someone
approve the leadership development event for FFA on Wednesday, February 16th, 2022.
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item 8, personnel. A is approve the hiring of a new K-12 Dean of Student position.
Yep, and Troy is here with us. If you want to stand up, there's Troy. Troy comes to us with 20 years of experience and a lot of experience in classroom management. He was a FIED teacher. He's got his administrative license. And I can tell you in the last 2 weeks that he has been with us, he has done a wonderful job with our kids and behavior. He's very patient and kind. And I've seen him interact with kids almost every day when I'm down there with him. And he's doing a wonderful job. And so I recommend that we approve this hire.
Are there any questions? Would someone move?
I'll move to approve the hiring of Mr. Troy Krauss as the new K-12 Dean of Students as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
No.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item B is approve the hiring of the high school girls varsity basketball coach, Mr. Jason Derby.
And Jason is here as well. So Ms. Lawson, our activities director, had multiple interviews last week and came to the decision that she would make the offer to Mr. Derby, who has been our JV boys coach for the last 3 years and is a Cuba City High School graduate. So we are recommending that he is approved tonight.
Are there any questions? Would someone move?
I'll move to approve the hiring of new CCHS girls varsity basketball coach, Mr. Jason Derby, as presented.
Dan wants to
I
second.
will second.
Thank you. Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item C is approve the hiring of Clarence Hoftender for the second shift elementary custodian.
Yep, this takes the place of our recently resigned elementary second shift custodian who found a first shift job. And it's hard to compete with that one. So Brian Cohen and I recommend hiring Clarence.
If there's no questions, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the hiring of Mr. Clarence Hoftender for second shift CCES custodian as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item D is approve the hiring of the middle school boys basketball coach, Will Esser.
And we've got 2 on here for middle school boys basketball coach. We couldn't find somebody who could be there every day. So it's kind of co-head coaches, but one of them is able to be there every day. It's not ideal, but it's what we have to do this year. So that's both Will and Maggie, who Ryan recommends and thinks that they'll work well together for our 7th grade basketball players.
Do you want to do it as one motion?
I think we have to do it on each, just because in previous years, the board's always said each individual coach they want to act on.
Is there any questions? Otherwise, so you want to move?
Move to approve the hiring of Will Astor as CCMS boys basketball coach as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Approve the hiring of the middle school boys basketball coach, Maggie Doherty.
Same thing with Maggie.
Move to approve the hiring of Maggie Doherty as CCMS boys basketball coach as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item F is approve the hiring of fitness center supervisor, Ashley Nice.
Yep, Ashley is a CCHS grad who is interested in working in fitness. And this is a rotating position, a revolving position. A lot of our supervisors are UW Platteville students, and sometimes they get jobs and sometimes they get other classes. And so hopefully Ashley sticks around a little bit because she's a little loyal to Cuba City High School.
If there's no question, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the hiring of fitness center supervisor Ashley Nice as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poll,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
motion carried.
Down to committee reports, budget and finance, anything?
We met on September 22nd.
We haven't met since then, correct?
Correct. That was the last one. We went through the latest draft of the budget.
Okay. Building and grounds?
We haven't met.
No upcoming meeting scheduled.
Communication review and strategic planning.
We're kind of doing that with our special board meetings right now, just so you know. That's something that we could delegate to that committee, but I think everybody wants to be a part of all these meetings with architects and with our financial people. So that's why we haven't met with that group.
Okay. Personnel, we met on September 22nd and Aaron set the next two meetings.
November 3rd is the next one.
November 3rd is the next week.
Then December 1st, maybe. Am I day off? I think that's the next one. November 3rd, I know, is the next one.
Never feared it.
First, December 1st, is that the next one?
December 1st is after that? Yep.
Policy committee, you met to go over the Neola things. Is there anything else? Technology, transportation, Dan, anything?
We have nothing scheduled, no.
Foundation, the same. You won't meet till January, I believe.
Right, yeah, we'll be scheduled in January.
Okay. And as CISA 3 wrapped, I don't really have anything, so I would accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you guys for coming. Have a good night.
What times for that on the 3rd?